is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon!
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it! The Ducks have won!
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions!
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Catch me! Touchdown, Oregon!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It is the final Duck Insider of the 2023 year. Where does the time go? Ryan Milano here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. The Ducks, a whole lot going on. Joey, he just lifted off. He's on his way to South Dakota for the Oregon men's basketball game against Syracuse on Sunday. And there's a whole lot more going on the women's basketball side of things and on the football side of things that are going to go down in the next few weeks while we are off the air for Duck Insider. So a programming note, this is going to be our last Duck Insider of the year. We will come back on the 2nd of January 2024, breaking down the Fiesta Bowl and everything that happened in Oregon athletics over what is going to be these next 2.5 weeks of what we'll call, I guess, winter break for us here in the Country Financial Studios at OSN. So a whole lot going down and a whole lot of practice going on for football. It's a little bit of an interesting time for football because you get that bowl game, which means there's a whole lot of extra practices, about 15 extra practices that Oregon is going to be able to get if they wouldn't have gotten if they wouldn't have made a bowl game. So the Ducks, they're going to play in 2024 against Liberty in the VRBO Fiesta Bowl in Arizona. That game will be a whole lot of fun, and the Ducks are just ramping up to it. Coach Lanning, he talked for the first time really since the Pac-12 championship, and he talked with the media and broke down really everywhere he's been jet-setting and everything the Ducks have been working on over these last few weeks. Here is Coach Dan Lanning.
Feels good to be out there with our players. A lot of us been out on the road the last few weeks here, chasing a lot of other players. So it's good to be back with ours. Our guys had a good day of work, but still got a lot of work ahead of us. The great thing about bowl prep is you get a little extra time. So today was really about us. It's going to continue to be about us, but excited to get out there and go to work.
Anyone who's transferring or declared who could still play in the bowl game?
Bucky was out there today. He's one. Other than that, I don't believe there is.
How would today's practice be compared to, was it like a Tuesday during the regular week, or how could you compare it to?
Yeah, no, it's more of a reset for us. It's more of a early fall camp practice, getting out there, good on good work, right? Going out there doing individual, the stuff that matters in bowl games. You see it show up every single year, tackling, penalties, those are the things you have to address, ball security. So it was really a different format than what it would be during a typical week.
You want to practice, just the feared number of games, is it 2 weeks worth? Is it 10 days worth?
Every opportunity to practice is an opportunity to get better, right? I see teams that aren't getting to play in bowl games, they don't get this opportunity to have, it's like spring ball. It's like another 15 practices where you get a chance to go out there and get better. So we want to take advantage of every opportunity we have in front of us.
What are you hoping to see specifically out of some of the young guys, those true freshmen and those sophomores during these practices?
Well, every one of these games, you're going to see somebody that probably hasn't made a huge impact throughout the season that shows up in a bowl game. So I'm excited to see the progress they make over these next several weeks. And then the opportunity to get on the field and make an impact.
Poncho certainly played a lot, but if he's going to be in the starting role with Jackson, what do you hope to see from him here these next couple of weeks compared to game experience that he already had?
Yeah, just really good play, right? I think he's shown that he's very capable and a great player for us. But that growth, that work that it's going to take to be successful in the game.
Is the expectation that Austin Novosad will be able to play in this game?
Yes.
How valuable could a game like this be for Poncho, but also other players kind of stepping into that moment just to propel them for next year?
Yeah, extremely valuable. I've seen a lot of guys grow, and again, in this opportunity, you have a short window where some teams don't get the opportunity to practice and get better right now. Our guys got an opportunity to go improve, finish the season off on the right note.
When Jordan Birch got dinged up during the Pac-12 title game, did he avoid a long-term injury? Is he okay?
Yeah, we're always going to protect our players, right? So we're going to make sure that, Jordan's in a position where he can get back and be able to play for us. We'll see what that looks like as it progresses, but, he's out there doing stuff for us today.
Dorless or Troy out there yet today?
Yeah, Dorless is out there. Troy was not out there today. He's still rehabbing from some stuff from the past game.
Yeah, a lot's been talked about it, the December calendar and just how chaotic it all is.
Yeah.
With the playoff expanding. If it expanded this year, you guys would be hosting Missouri in about 9 days after all this. What should it be to avoid the chaos and the travel that you and others have just spent the last?
Yeah, I don't live in hypotheticals. The rules are the rules. Adapt or die, right? That's the way it works. So whoever makes the rules, we follow the rules. Take advantage of the opportunity to go get great players. To be a part of what our program's going to be in the future and continue to develop the guys that we have here. But this is certainly a crazy month.
Talking about that chaotic calendar, did you learn anything last year you think that has helped you kind of navigate this time better this year?
Yeah, certainly. I don't know that I can name something specifically, but just the sequence and the rhythm that we want to be in as an organization, I think that's a lot clearer for us now.
Now that you've had a bit of a chance to dive into Liberty, what do you see from them on the offensive side of the ball that's made them so effective?
Yeah, really talented team that runs the ball extremely well. Quarterback that is really elusive, and creates, big plays, explosive offense. They're really successful. There's a reason they're undefeated.
With there being so much time for preparation for this game, do you go back to maybe some of the techniques that you thought maybe fell off a little bit during the season, or how do you kind of take that preparation and kind of spread it out a little bit more that you're used to kind of doing in just 1 week?
Yeah, that's really the focus. When you get close to the game, it becomes, in-game prep. But right now it's about fundamentals and technique.
Just wanted to clarify, you said Bucky was out there today. Does that mean he plans on playing this game, or is he still making that decision?
No, yeah, Bucky wants to play in this game.
Yeah, with the announcement of adding the Oregon State game back, we talked about that throughout the season, but giving up a home game to do it in the short term, just your reaction to putting Oregon State back on the schedule the next couple of years and, like I say, making the changes in order to make it happen?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing for college football. It's a rivalry that certainly means something to us here, and I think means something to them. So it's good to see games like that still exist.
I think a priority is as you go about seeking new players in the portal, but particularly in the secondary, just what is the priority of those positions in particular?
Good players that we think can help us, right? You're looking for guys that can come in and add value from a character standpoint, but also a performance standpoint.
In that sense, what does this game and this kind of week of practices mean for Cole Martin, a guy who can obviously play a lot of positions and has had a good end of the year?
Yeah, work week, right? It's a work week for him. He sees the opportunity in front of him and a chance to take advantage of those opportunities.
That is Oregon head football coach Dan Lanning. Been just about everywhere from here to Timbuktu over the last few weeks. Got his way back to Eugene, coaching up the Ducks for what the game is going to be on the first of the year of 2024 in Glendale, Arizona against Liberty for the Fiesta Bowl. That is going to be a barn burner down in Arizona. We just heard from Coach. Now we're going to move on to a season that just concluded. It's Oregon Volleyball. We heard from Coach Matt Ulmer yesterday on the show talking with Joey. Now it's time for the voice of the team, Knight Jarecki. He caught up with Joey Mack earlier in the week. We'll get to that next on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
We're back here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We just talked with Coach Dan Lanning. That interview brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Knight Jarecki, he is one of the KWVA sports directors and OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire. He's been with the Oregon volleyball team all season long, and he also caught up with Joey Mack about all things Oregon volleyball and a little bit of himself as a person. You're going to get to learn about Knight Jarecki. Here's his chat with Joey Mack.
All right, so we broke rules a little bit by having Knight Jarecki, voice of the Duck volleyball team, and, of course, OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire. He's directed how many shows now? Probably 50?
Oh, gotta be like 50.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 times a week, 10 weeks, that's at least 30. Plus, before school started, I was here like... Yeah, it's probably about 50.
Yeah, so about 50. He often will be sitting in Scott's chair. He's thrown the flag at Jerry, has yet to hit Jerry Allen in the head, which is good. Yeah. Scott hit him in the head. It's famous. But we broke rules a little bit because I felt like we couldn't have Knight's first 2-minute life story be on Zoom. But you were on the call for Sweet 16 and Elite 8 volleyball this last weekend after being on the call for Oregon volleyball all season long for KWVA. We had you on, and I thought, no, we can't do the 2-minute life story on Zoom. And you know what? I made that decision, and Knight was like, hey, Joey, we didn't start with the 2-minute life story. And he holds up his phone because he was ready to time it.
Hey. I was ready. I want to get to that record.
I
didn't have a stopwatch. I just had my phone next to me.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You wouldn't have started the timer.
Oh, I for sure wasn't. I was just going to look at the clock. Right. Actually, what I would have probably done was, you know how you have like the time ticking on the computer? I probably would have just slid up there and then just seen. But I probably was. I probably wouldn't get to 2 minutes.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe. You know? We'll see.
Look, it's easier to do a 2-minute life story the older you are. You have more things to pull from, right? 2 minutes can be a long time. So... Anyway, now we're ready for the real 2-minute life story of Knight Jarecki. Go.
Okay, so I grew up in a small town, Fraser Park, California. It's about an hour south of Bakersfield. 2,200 people live in Fraser Park. I got my start in broadcasting because my dad, he was a video editor in Hollywood. He would commute 70 miles a day.
Wow.
And, yeah, I know, pretty long drive for my dad. And on his way back, his radio would fade out. He'd love to listen to sports. We always listen to talk radio a lot. I love to listen to the Dodgers, and I know. I'm not a Dodgers fan. I'm a Giants fan.
I know.
I know, crazy, I know. But so my dad, he would drive home. The radio would fade out of the Dodger game, and he would call me, and he would just ask me what's happening for the Dodger game. And I began to broadcast sports to him over the phone. And at the age of 8, after doing it for about a week, he was like, you know, people get paid to do that. And I was like, people get paid to watch sports? And ever since that moment, I wanted to do broadcasting. Got to high school, went to high school in Bakersfield Christian. Started a broadcast program there my sophomore year. Started doing play-by-play from everything from water polo to football at BCHS. That was a pretty fun time. Did a little bit of a sports segment on our student news show. And then we also did a high school game day. That was a lot of fun. In high school, I actually watched you. I actually watched Duck Insider a lot, and I actually envisioned myself being in your shoes.
Wow!
In that moment, you had short, buzzed hair, big, thick glasses, and I had buzzed hair and glasses, and I was like, man, that guy went to the University of Oregon, and he's working for the University of Oregon, and I was like, that could be me someday.
All
And
right.
so that's why I've always thought about going to U of O. Went to journalism camp after my junior year, and after my sophomore year of high school at the University of Oregon, fell in love with Alan Hall, and just all the stars aligned. I got into U of O and ended up here. My freshman year, got involved with KWVA, broadcast Oregon women's lacrosse that year. Sophomore year, called Thurston High School football, called Lane Community College men's and women's basketball, did some softball that year, got involved with acrobatics and tumbling, called the national championship that year for acrobatics and tumbling. Junior year, called volleyball. That was awesome. I didn't know anything about volleyball prior to coming to U of O, got involved with volleyball right away with Sean McPherson. After the first season and seeing Brooke Nunaviller, I was like, I want to call that team someday. And, eventually it happened that junior year. Called the team on their way to the Elite 8 and Sweet 16. Called Bushnell Baseball last year. Still did acrobatics and tumbling. And then this year, here I am. So, broadcast intern extraordinaire, the best title I've ever had.
234.
Wow. That was long.
You were long-winded. I mean, you're a radio guy. Radio guys tend to be longer-winded.
I also got distracted and just made a few more comments.
That was great. So I did not know half of that, honestly. I've known what you've done here, but I did not know that you watched OSN and then you're like, I could do this someday.
Well, and when I was considering colleges, I always thought I wanted to broadcast for a university. And just seeing someone like you who went to the University of Oregon and then got to work for that university, it made me feel like there was going to be opportunities to potentially broadcast for the university, like the University of Oregon someday. And that's why I'm in the seat right now.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear. See,
does it make you feel old that you're making an impact on the younger generation?
But I've always felt old.
Yeah.
Scott, am I an old soul? Yeah, I've always been an old soul. I'm 30 years old, and everybody looks at me and they're like, "You're 30?" Like, thanks, guys. That's great.
Now,
you know what? You know what I said to Gabe one time? I go, "Hey, yeah, Gabe, I'm only 30," and he's like, "What?" So thank you for that, Gabe. Gabe.
You don't look a day older than 29 and a half.
Thank you. Yeah, I turned 29 again when I turned 30.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works. So. Got into volleyball, and I want to go back. So anybody who tuned in to the acrobatics and tumbling broadcast on ESPN Plus last year for the national championship, that was nice.
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, crazy. Last year was in West Virginia 2 years ago.
That's right. 2 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
It was
19 years old, national championship.
That was sweet.
That's pretty cool.
And Knight did a good job. I remember that when we were all discussing, a little bit of behind the broadcast. So part of what went on with acrobatics and tumbling is the ESPN Plus broadcast for all of the entire event, not just Oregon specific, was produced by the Quack Video team. Alex Stimson, Scott LeBounty, their entire team put it all together. And so the acrobatics and tumbling leadership from the NCATA came to us and said, hey, we need a broadcaster. And I was like, well, I'm doing baseball. At the time, Jordan Brenner was out doing baseball. We had a baseball weekend that I think it was the same weekend as the road maybe matchup with Washington, but I can't remember. And so it was like, well, we've got this amazing student broadcast program at KWVA, and so then Knight got the call. And did a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it was cool, too, because we did the Pac-12 Network broadcast a few weeks prior, so that kind of prepared us for the national championship and getting to work with Janelle Cook, who is also a Duck, who is the director of the NCATA. That was an awesome experience. And Alexis Cross was also my color commentator for a majority of the season. She was the director of Women in Flight at that time. And, just getting to work with them was amazing, and getting to really understand the stories behind acrobatics and tumbling and get to promote that sport. It's an emerging sport. It's going to be an NCAA sport pretty soon. Should be next year. They're up to like 55 universities now sponsoring the sport. They had to get to 40, and so in the next 2 years they should reach NCAA championship status. So just to kind of be there in the groundworks and just kind of building up to where it is now was just be really, really a cool opportunity at 19 years old.
That's cool. Now, volleyball, called that program for the last 2 years. Sweet 16, Elite 8. I wanted to review the season with you a little bit. So back-to-back years, Elite 8 for the first time in program history. But isn't it amazing where this program is, that it feels like they wanted more, and this team was talented enough each of the last 2 seasons to probably have more.
Yeah, I mean, this year's team was definitely certainly the most talented team that Oregon's had, most experienced team at that. If you think about how many players on this team were going to be graduating, which is a scary thought for next season. Of course, Matt Ulmer talked a little bit about it in the post-game against Wisconsin, about how he's going to be sad to see those faces leave practice. But, this is an experienced team. You have 6 All-American players on the team. You have 6 players that got drafted to professional volleyball. I mean, it is a professional volleyball team out there week in, week out. And I think every match except for one this season, Oregon was in it, and they could have had a chance to win every single match. Wisconsin, they're just a bigger team. I mean, they have an all-NBA starting lineup. If you look at their team, and they literally had a graphic on there. I don't know if you saw this, but they had a graphic where they put every single player on Wisconsin and matched them up to an NBA player. So they're like, this player, 6'9", LeBron James. And sometimes that's just what it is. Oregon, they went up against a taller team, and Matt Ulmer said this was the best blocking team he's ever seen as a coach, and that's just kind of how the cookie crumbled. But there's a few points where Oregon just didn't have it go their way. And if it did go their way, maybe they win those first 2 sets. It was 25-23, really close in all of them. But a phenomenal year. Hannah Pukas, drafted number 3 overall. First team All-American. Really, really remarkable. I mean, just to get to watch her all season long was phenomenal. I mean, she is the best setter in the country for a reason. I will say that. A lot of people will contest it, but I'll say that she is the best setter in the country. She can do it all defensively, offensively. She makes the offense move. And, that's going to be a big loss for the Ducks moving forward. But it's also exciting because, she's been mentoring Kristen Klein behind her, Mimi Collier, who's kind of gone from this young freshman to now being propelled into that veteran on this Oregon team. Leadership. It's going to be really exciting to see how she takes on that leadership role. But I think it's just so special because Oregon brought in a really, really good recruiting class, and to see all of these young Ducks get to learn from this experienced group of players is going to be really awesome, and I think it's a great experience for them to see.
That's Knight Jarecki catching up with Joey Mack. We're not done. There's still more as Joey and Knight break down this Oregon volleyball season. We'll get to see more from Joey, Knight, and that tremendous leather jacket next on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi Mom, it's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We're back here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Knight Jarecki and Joey Mack talking about Oregon volleyball. We left off just when they were getting into these players that just got drafted to play professionally. And, yeah, it's almost Oregon's entire rotation. That's how good this team was. 6 All-Americans on it. Joey, Mack, and Knight, they're talking about it. Here they are.
I also wanted to talk about the depth of this roster, because last year you mentioned Brooke Nuneviller, and I think Brooke Nuneviller had a Sabrina-esque impact on that program, just in terms of all the different walks of beyond volleyball that she helped influence. You know, it was such an amazing thing to see fans that aren't necessarily volleyball people that were suddenly like, I'm in on volleyball because of Brooke Nuneviller. Now, this team had a program record 6 All-Americans. The depth was really on display, and I think it's amazing, too. In modern college athletics, Coach Homer built it not just with high school but with transfers. A lot of the transfers really paid off for the Ducks this year.
Absolutely. I mean, Gabby Gonzalez, she was named to the All-American team as well. I believe she was an honorable mention. Kara McGee, second-team All-American. Just to see those two players amplify what Oregon already had last year and raise it to another level. I think the whole goal going into this season was to get into the top 4. Of course, Oregon didn't get into the top 4 and didn't get to host the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, but they were in the position to do so because of Kara McGee and Gabby Gonzalez. Gonzalez transferred over from Ohio State, and you saw her Big Ten experience pay off in the postseason. Oregon didn't lose a set until that match against Wisconsin, but against Purdue, Gonzalez looked really, really great. She was huge for the Ducks throughout the season for the serve-receive, and then having Kara McGee, 6'5", a middle blocker in the middle, one of the highest hitting percentages in the Pac-12 and nationally, just to have that as a secondary option to Carson Bacon in the middle was huge for the Ducks. And, you know, just having those two players in the transfer portal and having them come to Eugene was a special moment. I think that's kind of where Oregon's going to be heading because of the resources they have here. And with the young roster coming in, there's going to be some veteran players out there in the transfer portal that might see Eugene as a destination to go to mentor them and play some really good volleyball. And, you know, Oregon going to the Elite 8 back-to-back years, that's very, very exciting. It just speaks to where the program's at.
You bring up a good point, too, about building now toward the future, because it's, you know, we can all review and think about the history of this season with the program record All-Americans, getting to the Elite 8 back-to-back years, all the things we've talked about. But I think Coach Ulmer even thinking about this, too, like, all right, now it's time to build toward the future. You've been around this team. You talked about mentorship even just at the center position. What is your outlook for next year? What do you anticipate?
I expect Oregon to be competitive. I mean, Mimi Collier's going to be that top option, and, you know, it's going to be a lot of growing pains, I'm sure. There is some freshman that got some action. Kate Thibault, she's going to be the libero probably next season, considering that Georgia Murphy's gone after a historic 5-year career with Oregon. And, you know, you also saw Noemi Glover get in there a little bit. Oni Ofegbu, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. She transfers over from UC Irvine, and she had a great career at UC Irvine. And Coach Ulmer's talked a little bit about her throughout the season. He knew that she was going to redshirt this year, but he had high hopes for her, and, you know, she's exceeded those expectations coming into this season. So she, I think, is going to be that big middle blocker for the Ducks, but I think it's going to be a young team. Oregon in the recruiting class this past year brought in a lot of middle blockers, and they had a lot of outside hitters last season. And so, you know, it's going to be a lot of young players, but it's exciting because you have Mimi Collier on the floor at all times, and she's going to have to take on that leadership role, and she's learned from the greats. I mean, to learn from Brooke Nuneviller, to learn from Gabby Gonzalez this past year, to learn from Kara McGee, Georgia Murphy, all these players, I mean, that's a pretty good group of players to learn from, and I think Mimi Collier's ready for it.
Oni, by the way, best Halloween costume this year. She dressed up as Matt Ulmer and stayed in character through an entire practice. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. So I look forward to great things in interview settings now with Oni. Okay, so moving forward now. Of course, it's a different era for Duck volleyball in the Big Ten. You've been around these Big Ten. You were just in Wisconsin. You know, what should Duck fans expect from an environment standpoint? What do you think of the conference move?
Oh, I think this is the best thing that could happen for Oregon volleyball moving forward. And, you know, we already saw this season Oregon set an attendance record with Oregon State at the beginning of the year, over 7,000 fans being at Matthew Knight Arena. And, well, that's what Wisconsin was putting out throughout the season. This entire season, Wisconsin was averaging 7,200 fans. Now, that attendance for Matthew Knight Arena is only going to get higher when you have teams like Wisconsin, like Nebraska, like a team like Purdue, who's going to be really, really good moving forward. Yes, Purdue lost to the Ducks in the Sweet 16, but they're also also a very young team. They had 11 underclassmen, so they're going to be a really good program. You have Penn State in the Big Ten, and so you have all these powerhouses in collegiate volleyball. Big Ten's historically been the premier conference for collegiate volleyball, and so you're going to have a lot of top 15 matchups coming to Matthew Knight Arena because the Ducks are going to be in position to compete in the top 15, and then you're going to have Wisconsin, Nebraska coming around. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be great for the sport of volleyball. It's going to create some really awesome matchups, and it's going to bring the people in Eugene phenomenal shows to see at Matthew Knight Arena. I think this move is huge for Oregon. I think that overall, Oregon has what it takes to compete in the Big Ten. It's obviously a bigger, more physical conference, but Oregon's going to bring their speed to the Big Ten, and I think as time moves on, they're going to be able to adjust to the Big Ten style of play.
He's Knight Jarecki. I want everybody to know, those of you who are listening on the radio, Knight has got just the amazing throwback jacket on today. Those of you that are watching, can you turn around? What's the back of the jacket say?
The back says Oregon.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
well
pretty
done,
pretty
Knight.
cool, right?
Well done. So, Knight.
See, I always feel like you outdress me, but today I feel like I outdressed you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. The jacket is just very on point.
Yeah.
Well done.
On point.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
See? God. You've been in the studio for too many hours. Too many hours here. So what's next for you? You're going to enjoy a little bit of football, going to enjoy the upcoming year. Knight's graduating, by the way, coming up in the spring, but we've got him for another, well, assuming you don't fail any classes, so good.
Yeah.
Good work.
I got straight A's this term.
Good. Well done.
Yeah, see?
Well done.
See, I can do it all. I can be OSN broadcast and turn extraordinaire and still get good grades.
Good job. Well done. I always, it's like sort of a running joke that I always tell people. My one piece of advice to every student is just don't fail any classes, and everyone's always like, okay, Joey, like we get it. So what's coming up for you, though? You're going to be graduating in the spring. Still got KWVA stuff in the winter and spring coming up.
Yeah, I mean, right now I've just been kind of applying for jobs and just seeing where I could eventually end up. We'll see where that is eventually, but right now just going to take a few weeks off, going to Vancouver for vacation towards the end of the month. We got Oregon softball coming up. We're going to be broadcasting the Ducks softball team this year.
Nice.
Their schedule was just released today. I guess we're recording this today.
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Yep.
So very exciting. Looks like a lot of good talent is coming to Eugene. There's going to be a tournament in Eugene. Maryland is going to be coming. Florida State's going to be coming to the Jane, so really exciting for that. Really good Oregon softball team. You know, they have Morgan Scott coming back. You also have Stevie Hansen, so a couple of really good pitchers for the Ducks. I'm excited to see where Oregon softball goes, especially after making a super regional last year. But for me, just broadcasting softball, going to keep running KWVA and, you know, hopefully improve the station just like you did.
Well, you know, you guys
I have big shoes to fill.
I will say we at KWVA are very proud of the legacy now that has been built. John Strong and I have this conversation every time we see each other about how it's so cool to see KWVA and the amount of great sports broadcasters that have come from KWVA, and here's to joining that long list coming up. Knight Jarecki, OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire. He's not going anywhere. You mentioned you're going to be doing softball. That means you're coming on the show to talk a little softball with us here.
Hopefully host the show.
Yeah, that's right.
Got to fill that seat.
The plan is that as I travel with men's basketball and I travel with baseball, Ryan Milano, who was the sports director before Knight was at KWVA, Ryan's going to join me for baseball coming up in the spring. But there's a lot of traveling going on, which means that Knight, you'll hear him, and he'll do a better job than I do on Duck Insider. Knight, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Knight Jarecki, folks.
I'll echo Joey's sentiment. He'll probably do a better job than I will as well on this show. We're going to step aside. We got to get to some basketball. Kelly Graves met with the media after his team concluded 3 games in 4 days. How are they recovering? We'll find out next on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
We're back here in the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We're talking with Coach Kelly Graves, and a little bit of context before we talk with KG. There is a new NCAA rule that double transfers, teams that have transferred from one school to another and then to a third school, could potentially be granted eligibility for this current season. That matters for the Ducks because one of their players, Priscilla Williams, where Oregon is her third school, thought that, well, maybe she was not going to play this entire season. Now with potential rulings coming down from the NCAA, it could potentially mean that she might be active to play for the Ducks. So that's some context leading into this interview with Coach Kelly Graves. He gets asked about it. Here is KG.
The NCAA's, there's that 14-day. Is Priscilla available to play in the interim, or where are you at?
We're hoping so. As soon as I get word from our compliance that she's good to go, she'll play in these 3 games over this 14 days. Yes.
Can you tell us something fans probably haven't seen much of, or what would you guys be getting, and what kind of an impact can she make on you guys?
Really good defender, great length, might be our best shooter, 3-point shooter, great range. And, she has the ability to play some point as well. She's just a good all-purpose guard. And, I hope it's more than just the 14 days. I hope it's the rest of the year. We'll see.
Given the uncertainty with her status the last few weeks, couple months even, how has she handled kind of keeping herself engaged?
Yeah, well, she's been great. When we go against our practice guys, she always plays with them. And there are times when she's the best player on the floor. She plays with a lot of attitude, a little bit of toughness. She's got some dog in her, all good qualities. So, and we need that from time to time. We need that toughness. So, yeah, I think she'd be a huge help. And, she may not know everything we're trying to run, but she's a pretty smart player, so she'll pick it up.
Yeah, what has been the process of her absorbing your stuff while also serving that role?
Yeah, she did everything with us for the first month or so, and then when it was clear that we were unsure of what she was, if she was going to be eligible or not, then we started playing her with the guys. But I think she knows enough to be able to step right in.
After 3 games in 4 days, what does this week look like with another game not until Sunday?
Well, it's been great. We've had a couple of really good practices, and I think we needed that. It was kind of whirlwind last week with final exams. Before that, we were on that extended trip, Portland and Texas, and now these games. So it was nice to just kind of take a deep breath and really focus on, what we need to do, here on out, continue to improve. We only have 3 games left before we start Pac-12 play, so we still have to iron some things out and get, obviously, a lot better.
We mentioned the other day Philly's ability to get through the weekend and play the volume of minutes she did. Was she totally on E when she came out of those 3 games? Is her conditioning so improved that she's able to bounce back and get back and practice all that?
Yeah, she's been fine. We held her out today other than just the shooting. But, yeah, I think sometimes with Philly it's upstairs. I think she sometimes put limits on herself. And those are starting to go away. I mean, I think she's realizing physically she can get through multiple games and big minutes and mentally as well. So I've been really proud of her. She had a heck of a week. My goodness. So it was like 18 and 17 or 17 and 18 she averaged. Not many people doing that right now.
It seems like she's starting to generate some buzz, just if you look on social media and things like that. Is it good to see that rewarded, to kind of maybe reinforce upstairs for her that, you know, her efforts are being noticed?
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm off social media for the most part right now. I'll tweet every once in a while, but I don't really read much. So that's great. Yeah, she deserves it. I think she's, developing into quite a, not only a weapon for us, but a heck of a player for her future.
Now kind of having some time to review the 3 games you did play, what were some of the takeaways that you had? And I guess specifically the starting 5, where do you kind of land there? How do you feel about continuing with that?
Well, we're 3-0 with that lineup, so that helps. We've gotten off to relatively good starts. I like it. It's different. Not many people can go 6-7, 6-8 in their starting lineup. It just gives us a different look. I think ultimately, we just got to continue to get better on our weaknesses, which transition defense, live ball turnovers, and then rebounding, especially out of our zone. Those are the areas we're weak. But I think, I like the lineup. I don't think we'll change it in the foreseeable future. We'll see. But you guys, we got to make some baskets, man. It's one thing to go big, but if you're not, stretching the defense with some, long range, some shots from distance, then it's going to be tough. They bottle it up inside. So, we just got some work to do.
When you have been so reliant, though, on those 3 players, could adding Priscilla into the equation be kind of a nice offset?
Yeah, I'm telling you, Priscilla's a really good player. She really is a good player. There's not much she can't do, and I think she really helps our defense. That's a long guard. I think it's, if she's able to play the rest of the year, we become a different team, much better team.
You have that big lineup out there. What are the biggest things you want from Kennedy Basham?
I think just a presence around the rim, and she gives us that from time to time. But, it's funny. You'd think we'd get more block shots than we do. I think we're changing some shots. With Kennedy, when she plays that middle of that zone, she's just got to, contest things at the rim and then be a force on the boards. Thing is, with Philly, she doesn't leave many rebounds for anybody else. It's a good way to be selfish. But, I think that's what Kennedy's got to give us. And at the offensive end, what she can give us is the ability to make the mid-range shot. And, she hasn't taken a lot of them yet, but she's actually really good at that range.
What do you know about UTSA?
I don't know a lot other than, Karen, I think, does a great job. I followed her all those years at Texas. They lost their best player coming in. But I think they've recovered quite well. They play aggressive defense and, they're an opportunity fast break team. I think it'll be a good challenge for us, no doubt.
That's Coach Kelly Graves. All head coach interviews brought to you by Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. KG talking about the big weekend for Philly on the floor. And, Oregon played 3 games in 4 days. And with a new lineup, a bigger lineup, it seemed like Philly really shined, getting wins over Idaho, Portland State, and Southern University for 3 consecutive W's on the floor for the Ducks. They carry that momentum into their non-conference home finale. That will be on Sunday at 11 a.m. against UTSA. So the last time that you'll have an opportunity to see Oregon on the home floor, not only in non-conference play, but also in the year of 2023, because Oregon closes out their non-conference schedule after the game on Sunday. They go on the road to the Trailblazer Classic in Utah, play against Utah Tech, and then against Oklahoma State, those games on Tuesday and Thursday of next week. And then once you go all the way forward to New Year's Day, that's the opening, rather New Year's Eve, on December 31st. That is the opening of Pac-12 conference play. The Ducks will be in the state. They'll play against Oregon State up in Corvallis. So that's the rest of the 2023 Oregon women's basketball schedule. With the new look starting lineup, Oregon trying to continue that 3-0 momentum momentum throughout the remainder of non-conference play. That lineup including the likes of Grace Van Slooten, moving from the 4, the power forward position, to the 3, or the small forward position, now that Kelly Graves has inserted Kennedy Basham into the starting lineup. How Grace Van Slooten is adapting to that new role, and just the play of her overall over the last few weeks. She talked with the media about it. Here it is.
At least a possibility that Priscilla could be in there. Give us kind of the scouting for what can she add for you guys if she's able to join you?
Yeah, she can add so much. Just energy, aggressiveness, great three-point shooter. She'll spread the floor, is really good at defense, so she'll add a lot.
What was kind of the response when you guys heard yesterday that it might be a possibility? Because obviously there's been kind of a long delay in terms of what was going to happen.
Yeah, I think everybody was really excited. I mean, we all love P. She brings so much to the table, and, you know, when we found out she might be able to play these few games, we're all just really excited.
KG said she's got like dog in her, I think is the terminology. Like, just describe kind of the attitude she brings and kind of the competitiveness that maybe she can add to the group.
Yeah, I mean, she's just no quit in her at all, and she's going to be everywhere. She's flying around the floor. She's getting tips, deflections, steals. Yeah, like you said, just that dog in her, you know, she doesn't go away. She's kind of like, you know, she's like swarms you. She's just everywhere.
3 games in 4 days, obviously. What were the big takeaways coming out of it, and where did you feel like you guys maybe took some steps forward?
I think we really learned how to like mentally lock in. You know, that's a lot in 4 days. A bunch of different scouting reports and everything like that, but we really locked in and focused and, you know, did what we had to do and got the wins.
How did you, I mean, obviously the change in the starting lineup, what was that like for you moving down? It's kind of, I mean, it's such a big group out there now, but how does that impact you?
I mean, just a little bit. You know, I've been playing 3 more, so I'm more comfortable with it. Not that much of an impact, but, you know, I think it worked out well.
You guys did have such a big workload with those 3 games in 4 days, and it seemed like KG maybe was trying to ease your workload at the end of the game Monday. And I don't know, based on your body language, it didn't seem like you loved that.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily. I understand why I did it, and, you know, I'm grateful for it. But, you know, obviously I love to be on the floor. I like to play, so, you know, it's whatever. But I'm grateful that we were up by that many so that I could get a rest and, you know, take care of my body.
But you would rather be out there, even despite all that.
Yeah, definitely.
With regard to Philly, who has such an awesome weekend, Coach was talking about kind of the physical toll, but I'm wondering just emotionally how she handled having such a great weekend and all the sort of celebration around how she played.
Yeah, I think she did great. I think she's figuring out that, you know, she can really do some damage inside, and I think that confidence is the most important thing right now, and, you know, she's got it, and she's just playing great, and it's just going to keep getting better.
Back to Priscilla, it's just the hit you guys took with Peyton. Just, I wonder if you could describe kind of the emotional swing from where you were a couple weeks ago, feeling like, oh, you know, we're shorthanded. What are we going to do to maybe now getting some hope?
Yeah. I mean, Peyton brought so much to the table. You know, she was experienced, 5th-year senior. She was a leader, you know, everything like that. So we looked to her for a lot of things, and definitely took a toll on us. But P brings a lot of the same qualities, you know, like I said, aggressiveness, energy, everything like that. So I think that could definitely help us a lot.
That's Grace Van Slooten talking about Oregon women's basketball. And there's been a lot of focus on Philippina Shea, and rightfully so. She had a phenomenal weekend. But for the stretch of 3 games in 4 days, Grace Van Slooten, let's take a look at her statistics, because she had just as good of a weekend, one that was really phenomenal against Idaho. 17 points and 10 rebounds. That was a double-double in the win against the Vandals. Then against Portland State, 18 points and 9 rebounds in that game. Just missed out on a second consecutive double-double, but still able to put up 18 points and 9 boards, getting the rebounds. When KG mentioned it, Philly is a little bit selfish with those rebounds, so Grace Van Slooten finding a way to insert herself on the boards. And then against Southern University, you heard Rob Mosley, ask Grace Van Slooten about her getting taken out a little bit earlier in the end of that game and the competitive fire that she has to compete. Well, she had a pretty good stat line, put together a pretty solid game in just 25 minutes, which is a pretty significant downtick to how many minutes she's gotten throughout the rest of the season. She's only had one other game below 30 minutes played up to that point in the year. So only 25 minutes against Southern. What did she do? It's a complete stat line. 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, along with a steal and a block for Grace Van Slooten. So getting it done in the scoring column, on the boards, playmaking for her teammates, and on the defensive end. That is a complete player in Grace Van Slooten that had a pretty complete weekend, going to try to keep it going as the Ducks continue to move forward throughout the rest of their season. Once again, Sunday at 11 a.m. at Matthew Knight Arena is the home non-conference finale. So be there at MKA for that. The men also play on Sunday. Just an hour earlier, that game is going to be in South Dakota against Sioux Falls against Syracuse. That's Sunday, December 17th is when the men play, but they just wrapped up a win on Tuesday against California Baptist, and a dominant one at that, a 76-55 contest, and a great recap made by the Go Ducks creative team. How did the win happen? This is how.
Our house now, fellas. Our house, man. You got to take care of your own court. You got to get ready. You got to keep each other going. The bench has got to go. Everybody's got to go. Don't wait for the crowd. You guys get to go.
Let's go.
Here we go. Let's get it. Here we go.
Shellstad now. Kusnard back out to Shellstad. 3 to shoot. Fires the 3. Hit. Takes it down the right side. Blocked from behind by Oquendo. Barthélemy on the rejection all the way underneath. Tracy lays it in. Right side of the lane. Good take and finish. Wow.
And he goes. All out one. Don't walk. Then score. Ain't nobody talking. We got to talk more. We got to talk more.
This shot taken away by Evans to Rigsby. Right side 3. Yeah! Passes on a drive to Kusnard. He fires and hits the 3 left corner. That steals the pass to Stevenson. He goes to Oquendo, throws it down in transition. Pulled away in the second half tonight. Ducks 76, Lancers 55. Oregon moves to 7-2 on the season. And a good win here at Matthew Knight Arena.
That is how Oregon basketball got it done, against California Baptist on Tuesday. And how about the game for Jackson Shellstad in that contest? This was a good California Baptist team. Both the Ducks and the Lancers came in at 6-2 in the contest. Jackson Shellstad, ever since he's come home, has had a really strong start to his career. Yeah, he's just a freshman, just a few games into his career, but 17 points, 8 for 14 from the field, and where I look, 8 assists in the ball game. A playmaking Jackson Shellstad, and he found Kari Oquendo for a whole bunch of those buckets. 20 points for KO in the ball game. So a wing scoring effort for Shellstad and Oquendo with a whole lot of help around them, and that's how the Ducks got the 76-55 win against California Baptist and the Lancers. Now the schedule for Oregon men's basketball as they conclude their non-conference slate. They have 2 more non-conference games against Syracuse and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Joey just left on the plane just when we started up the show, so they are en route to South Dakota to play against the Orange of Syracuse at 10 a.m. on Sunday. And then the home non-conference finale against Kent State. That game will be on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So the men's basketball teams and the women's basketball teams closing out their non-conference slate. When we come back on Duck Insider, a new 2 teams announcing their schedule for their upcoming season, as well as everything that we're going to miss over the next 2 weeks when Duck Insider's off the air. You're listening to Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
We're back in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. There are new schedules out for the 2024 campaign for both men's and women's tennis. The men's team, led by Coach Nils Schielander and Quinn Vandekasteel, coming back for yet another year. They open up their season against Eastern Washington and Purdue. That is the home opener at the Student Tennis Center. Then the Pac-12 home opener against USC on the 5th of April. Oregon hosts Washington on April 13th, and on the final home weekend of the season, April 19th and 21st, it'll be ASU and Arizona in town for the men on the tennis court. For the women, their schedule released today as well. They'll also open their season, the Oregon women, on the 19th of January against Portland State. Their Pac-12 opener is going to be against Colorado on March 8th. The last Pac-12 game is going to be against, their Pac-12 home opener, is going to be on March 22nd against ASU. Their Pac-12 opener on the road is against Colorado on March 8th. And then on March 29th and 31st is the last home weekend against Washington and Wazoo. The schedules for both Oregon men's and women's tennis. Now, the schedule for this weekend, it's going to be 2 morning matchups on Sunday for men's and women's basketball. We just talked about them. And it will be the men playing Syracuse and South Dakota on CBS Sports Network and OSN. That'll be at 10 a.m. And then the women will play their final home non-conference game of the year against UTSA on the Oregon live stream. Now, Duck Insider, we won't come back next Monday. We'll come back on the first Tuesday of the new year on January 2nd in 2024. So what do you have to know that's going on in Oregon athletics until we get on the air? A ton of basketball. The men close out the non-conference at Matthew Knight Arena on Thursday at 6 p.m. against Kent State. The women close out the non-conference on the same day in Utah at the Trailblazer Classic at 1 p.m. versus Oklahoma State. The men open Pac-12 play in MKA against USC and UCLA on the 28th and the 30th. The women open Pac-12 play on New Year's Eve against Oregon State and Corvallis at 2. And then we kick off the new year with Oregon football in Glendale, Arizona against Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. local on ESPN and the Oregon Sports Network. That's all we have for 2023. See you in 2024. Go Ducks.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.